Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of our little walk through the songs in the key of A EP by us, the Franticks. So I'm Steve, it's my sister Bethan.
Hello.
And hello. And today's song we're going to talk about is a very, very personal one, Abba Father, which is very, I think basically we ended up just kind of chatting about authenticity and grief, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we both, have been through, in the course of, the journey to having children, we'd both had miscarriages, and I think that was the kind of driving force, the kind of emotional memory we're both kind of tapping into there. Do you want to say a little bit more about kind of the genesis of the song?
Yeah, it kind of stemmed from a poem that I'd written after I'd had a miscarriage, and that real kind of crying out to God and saying, where are you? I'm completely on my own here. I feel like I've been abandoned. But then it was, when I wrote it was a bit further on in the journey, so it kind of had that, again, hope at the end of it, where actually I realised that I hadn't been on my own. It was just a really tough thing to go through. God had been there all the time, and he was there crying with me, comforting me, and felt every emotion that I felt. And obviously, because that's an experience that you and Katie shared as well, it just felt like a similar journey in that it happened. It was really awful and raw and isolating, but there was definitely that growth through it and that redemption kind of at the end. But it was just that journey of having to just trudge through all that emotion and all that grief, but knowing actually at the end of it, like looking back and seeing that I hadn't actually been on my own at all.
Yeah, because there's that what I kind of come back to all the time when I'm thinking about times of intense grief, is there's an ancient Jewish tradition where like in the story of Job in the Bible, Job's friends actually did this before they opened their mouths and actually ruined everything. But there's a Jewish tradition where when somebody has had a loss, a bereavement, you just go in and sit with them. You wouldn't say anything, or try and say anything to make it better, or do anything to make it better. You just kind of go and sit with them and be present with them in their grief. And that was definitely mine and Katie's experience when we had the miscarriage, that we, were obviously hurting so much that we just basically, laid on the sofa, ate a lot of takeaways and watched a lot of telly, and that was it. That was kind of our self-care. But we kind of commented on it throughout, that we always felt that God was present in the grief, that he was there, even though there was nothing that could be at the time kind of said or done, and you always kind of try and rush through your recovery, don't you? We actually had some counselling afterwards, because it was just such hard and painful thing to go through. And basically we're kind of processing it through, and we kind of said to our counsellor, we just hit a point where the house is a mess, and we've just been eating nothing but takeaways for a week, and everything just falls by the wayside, and it just feels like we're in this chaotic environment, and everything inside is this chaos, and it's and he just said, wait, so what you're saying is the housework gets delayed. Do you end up doing it eventually? And we're like, yeah. So, okay, and you're having takeaway, so that means you're feeding yourself. It's so you kind of you do the housework eventually, and you make sure you're taking care of yourself, and that you're sleeping, and that you're fed.
Yeah.
And we really felt that, from our counsellor, and just actually, from our friends, that permission to kind of go through the grief, because you don't want to wallow in it, but sometimes you do need to.
Yeah. Actually,
because
God is big enough for us to have a shout at him. It's fine. It happens all the time in the Bible, doesn't it? People go off on one at God, and he is, I won't say big enough and ugly enough, but he's definitely big enough to
he's
take
ancient
it.
enough.
Exactly.
Right? He's ancient enough. I think it's just so novel, kind of the idea that, you know, people have that there are certain things you can't say to God. It's not like he's going to go, oh, no one's ever said anything like that to me before. And
Very
it's like,
dare you.
And how very dare you. You know, I've been alive for literally all of recorded time and beyond, and nobody has insulted me in the way that you just did. That's not going to happen,
No,
is it?
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I think you have to get it out there, don't you? Because it's human emotion. It's almost weird to go, I don't know, it's fine, you know. I don't mind, because I really did mind. I was sad and angry and disappointed, and my future promise had just been snatched away from me, and I wanted God to know about it, because he was the only person who could have done anything about it.
100%. And it's just like, it's one of those things. It's really interesting. You kind of just... you go through it, right? And you kind of come out the other end of it with probably more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And actually, this is like, you know, this is a bit part of mine and Katie's journey right now, is that we've been thinking about what childlike faith actually means. Because for a lot of Christians and a lot of the way it's taught, childlike faith is taught about as this kind of submissive, unquestioning thing. But anyone who's actually has had kids...
They're good at the old questions.
They are not submissive, and I think there was like the statistic we heard, like, I can't remember the exact one, but like 4-year-olds ask like X thousand questions in like a week or something. You know, there's a really short period. So actually, and you know, you kind of see in the Bible, don't you, like, that when God calls someone to do something, the more questions they ask, the more God is like, yep, you're the one. Yeah.
It's about being open, isn't it, to asking the questions that seem silly. Like, I remember saying, God, I know this is really ridiculous, but can you please make no one else have a baby until I have another baby? Thank you. And it's like, knowing it was completely ridiculous, but you have that freedom to ask your Abba, he's your daddy, for the things that are ridiculous, because actually that's where I was at. I can't, this is my coping strategy at the moment.
It's just like, and that's what it is. The song is a journey of authenticity, which is kind of why we start with the kind of drone section at the start, where we just recorded it was quite emotional to record, really, just kind of tapping into that place of lament, which again, you don't really hear that much in Christian music. And there's an awful lot of it in the Bible. But we just wanted to kind of create that space of lament, lots of kind of ambience, lots of kind of like volume swelling, wailing guitars, and
it's a really big song, isn't it? And it just felt like that first bit, it did just remind me of people being like at the Wailing Wall or something like that, and just crying out, and just almost like you get this view of the world almost, and you can see like the speech bubbles of people just crying out from different places with different things on their heart, and the pain that people are experiencing, and all those things that God is hearing and absorbing and getting alongside people. And I just felt like you were sort of had this bird's eye view of all these people just crying out to God, and like say lamenting and wailing, and sometimes there were no words, it was just sounds, because sometimes you don't have anything to say, it's just and
then the song kind of just crashes into this moment of almost quiet intimacy in that first verse, and it's kind of like the introspection, and then obviously the hope anthem at the end, where the lyrics change, and because again we felt it's important to represent that stage of the journey too, because it is so important to spend time in your grief and to acknowledge that pain hurts, but also it's important to kind of go like that we were saying about Visibly Mended, go forward with that limp, with your scars, but knowing that knowing that God's intention is always to bring us through.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's kind of a reflection, is that the first bit is the crying out, and there's exactly the same number of layers at the end, and very sort of almost like echoes of it, isn't it? But in a hopeful way. It's the major key, it's that lift at the end, and it's still those same voices crying out, but they've been on a journey through the song.
Exactly.
And also, Ruben will kill me if I don't give him a little shout out for this song because of the riff. So the riff in it is based on something that my son Ruben created on his ukulele one day.
Yes.
Ruben has guitar lessons now. We had ukulele lessons and now has guitar lessons with Steve here. And he one day said, "Oh, Mum, I've made up this riff." And I was like, "Oh, I like the sound of that." And I said, "Right, play it. I'm going to sing the chorus idea I've got for Abba Father over the top of it." So we recorded it, sent that to Steve, and then of course Steve worked his magic on it and it became what it is. So shout out to Ruben, thank you for the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite sophisticated as well. I mean, obviously, like, he hadn't kind of realised, but kind of going to that minor 4 chord is just a really well-known cliche that sounds great and works really well for that. And it kind of almost created a platform for probably one of our favourite parts of the song musically, which is the kind of like, you know, it's not a complicated riff, but as the chords shift underneath it, it kind of creates that different harmonic kind of tonality, and it's lush. So there's a lot I love about this song, and I'm kind of really hope everybody is enjoying the finished product. And let us know if this song has encouraged you on your journey of authentic grief, or if it has just been a song that has brought you hope in some way. We really hope it has. And please do like, follow, share, subscribe, do all the delightful things to share our music with other people and find ways of engaging with us. Bye everyone, I'll see you next time.